Three Little Pigs, baby.
Happy Easter.
Oh, happy Easter to you too.
Ah, yes. This
and
is our...
welcome to the wrap-up show
Yes.
for season 4. The D's.
Yep, the D's.
I am feeling good about this season's wrap-up.
Oh, gosh.
I think, we've established our categories and what we want to talk about in, the last wrap-up shows we've done. I like what our template is, and I am more prepared for my answers than I've ever been. How are you feeling about it?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Also,
So you got a page of notes there, so I'm excited.
Yep. So we are back from the AC/DC concert, which was amazing.
It was pretty good.
Brian Johnson's...
The Rose
He
Bowl.
needs to get a break.
Oh, yeah.
My poor
I think
man.
they need to hang up the band just out of respect for Brian Johnson.
Yeah,
But
and Angus is...
he's struggling a bit.
Angus isn't the Angus he was, but still, he soloed for 20 minutes.
He was amazing.
It was really good. They played Riff Raff.
That was the biggest surprise.
Yeah. We were hoping that they would play Jailbreak,
Yeah.
but no.
A little crazy getting out of there with 90,000 people competing against you.
Oh my God. Can we tell them about how we had to get out?
No, we'll just say that we didn't get home until 1 in the morning. So quite an evening and a lot of
We
walking.
could not find a taxi
No, it
or an
was a
Uber.
little
It was
rough.
insane.
It was crazy. But it was worth it, and we're always going to remember it. But let's talk our season 4. How would you rate season 4 overall in terms of the movies we watched compared with our other seasons? So how do the D's stack up against the C's and the B's and the A's? Since, as everyone knows, we're covering our horror movies in alphabetical order.
Well, semi-alphabetical order. You've made some mistakes. You must admit.
Some weren't my fault.
Yeah.
1 or 2 may have been. I admit that. I may have gotten a little overexcited putting some of our lists together in the past. But how was this season?
Fun.
Couple of clunkers. But I thought in general there were some neat surprises too.
There were 2 that I was really disappointed in, and
That's not too bad for horror movies. 2 out of what did we do? 16, 15?
wait, I'm counting.
Something like that.
5, 6, 14, 15.
Did we have any firsts this season? Oh, we had our first sequel.
Yeah, the hymns.
No, the hymns. And was this time the first time we started doing Guess the Tomato for college fund money?
Yeah, I think so.
Too, yeah. And you had your second nightmare this season. Remember?
What was it from? Dawn of the Dead?
No.
Dog Soldiers?
No. All right, we'll get this. Do you know what our average recommended age was? So we recommend an age for kids to be able to watch all these movies that we talk about with their parents. And sometimes we agree, sometimes we really don't. Sometimes there's a wide spread between what you think and what I think is appropriate. But our average age that we recommended a kid needs to be to watch most of these movies is about 11 and a half.
Okay.
So you're about the age where you can watch any of the movies that we watched, which is good because you did.
Let's get right into this. What was the scariest movie?
Scariest movie we watched this season. So highest score on our fearometer. Number 3.
Dog Soldiers.
At
Dog Soldiers.
4.5. So you rated this a 4, I rated this a 5, American Werewolf. And that tied with Night of the Living Dead. So you gave that a 4, I gave that a 5 also. Second scariest movie of the D's, Dog Soldiers. 5.5.
Yes.
Tied with Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
So you gave Dog Soldiers a 7, I gave it a 4. And then you gave Dawn of the Dead a 5, and I gave it a 6. So the scariest movie we watched in the D's was indeed... And it's the movie that gave you the nightmare, The Descent.
Yes.
At 7.
7.
So you gave it a 8.5, and I gave it a 5.5. So Neil Marshall, you beat out the other double director, George Romero, for scares this season. Yeah. Congratulations, Neil.
What was our least scary, Dad?
I
feel like
at
I know.
1.75. So you gave it a 2, I gave it a 1.5. Dr. Phibes rises again.
Yeah, that's not scary. That's... you could watch that at 8, and you would be fine.
Yeah, we rated that less scary than like the original Dracula, which isn't very scary either. How about funnest?
Can I guess?
Do you want to guess third funnest?
Third funnest, Dog Soldiers.
No. Dog Soldiers was number 2. We gave it a 7 aggregate. You gave it an 8. I gave it a 6, so we got a 7. But number 3 was Devil's Reign at a 6.5.
Yeah, okay.
You gave it a 7, and I gave it a 6 for fun. And the funnest movie we watched was 9.5, Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
You gave it a 10. I gave it a 9. Slam dunk fun fest. Least fun?
Dead Silence.
Yeah. We both gave it a 2.
It's scary, but it's very, like...
It's not a fun ride.
Fun to watch. What was our most impactful?
So on our impactometer, third most impactful movie, got an 8. We both gave it an 8, and that was American Werewolf.
Okay.
Second, at an 8.5, we have a Romero double shot, so both Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. And our most impactful movie, what would you think it is?
Dracula.
Yes. 8.75.
It's Dracula.
You gave it an 8.5, I gave it a 9. Yeah, I mean that, like we said on that episode, take a listen.
It's had the most remakes of probably all time.
Oh, and it also started the whole American horror thing. Least impactful? Say it with me. Dead Silence. It got a half. It got a 0.5 for impactful. You gave it a 1, I gave it a 0. And I don't give many zeros, right? I try not to.
Yeah, you try.
I am a generous grader when it comes to horror movies. Other movies we covered this season, Horror of Dracula, Day of the Triffids.
Deep Star 6, everyone's favorite.
Demons.
Devil Rides Out.
And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yep.
So, now, here's the part of the show that we really like. Which of the movies we watched this season would make the best Broadway musical? Let's just get right to it.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because a couple of these movies were turned into Broadway musicals, like Jekyll and Hyde.
Some are obvious. Some are surprising.
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde got one. Yeah. Dracula got one.
Yep.
Dead Silence got... No, I'm kidding.
Dracula did. It was a huge flop on Broadway. Jekyll and Hyde was turned into a Broadway musical. It did a little better, but I don't think many people considered it
David Hasselhoff was in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked it.
You'll understand why that's funny when I show you
said that
David Hasselhoff.
He's a good
TV
singer,
shows.
Okay?
He was on a couple of very bad TV shows. So.
Okay, so what was your best musical? Or what would make the best musical?
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. Devil's Reign.
Oh my god! You just want that movie to win something.
Well, it did already get in there for one of our funnest, but I'm serious. Like, think about all those people in the black robes singing to Corbus, the devil cult leader, Ernest Borgnine. He's dead. So who
I did him as my spotlight.
Who would play him now in my musical? Jack Black. He'd be great.
I see it.
I'm sure he's a fan. And this whole thing could have like a 70s kind of hippie vibe, like hair.
Age of Aquarius.
Age of Nefarious.
Dad, you really can't go one episode without making a dad joke.
First of all, that was awesome. But imagine the battle scenes up on stage between Shatner and Corbus.
Who would play Shatner?
Song.
Who would play Shatner?
Shatner. He's still alive.
Yeah, but he's old.
He's like 90. He has to sing a song to save his mother's soul or lose his own in the struggle. It's all terribly Broadway dramatic.
Yeah, okay.
And then the mass melting at the end. It'll bring down the house. I'm sold.
You're sold on your own idea. That's lovely. How are you going to make it rain in a Broadway theater? Did you fit that into your plan?
Yep.
How?
You drop like recyclable tinsel from the rafters, and then you have misters. They're strategically placed on the stage so that people look wet, and you can have close-ups. There'd be a big black screen in the back behind the action, and then when people start melting, when it starts raining, you have some close-ups on the wet people, then some other close-ups on the melting people, so you have them made up ahead of time under their hoods. It's totally workable.
Okay, I went...
I'm ready to sink most to all of your college fund into the development of this Broadway musical. This potential smash hit.
What if it's not a smash?
Homeschool? Home college?
Eric.
Is that a thing? And then Corbus falls into the pit at the end, and the huge screen in the back of the stage projects his spiraling fall back into hell. And he could even say stuff like, I'm coming back for you, the guy who was on his cell phone during the second act. And you, that little girl, unwrapping the loud candy that you snuck in. Didn't even buy it from the concession stand.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I went
Devil's Reign the musical.
Dr. Phibes Rises Again.
Ooh.
Because think about it. He already plays the organ.
Yeah.
And think about Volnavia just like descending
Just
down
looking
from
amazing in
Yeah,
different outfits.
like the outfits. I'm sold on the costumes for that, and the sets will be amazing. Like him walking down from his staircase, and
it would definitely look
and
amazing.
Biederbeck trying to save his wife. And
so the musical would actually be Phibes Rises Again, not just a Phibes musical where you could combine elements of both.
No, it would be like the first act would be Phibes.
Okay.
The second act would be He Rises Again. Yeah.
That could work.
And at the end, no one got to see this in the movie, but Victoria and Anton Phibes will
So husband and wife.
Yes, they will be rowing their boat, and you will see her rise just a bit, and she'll grab his hand, and then everything will go all black.
Right. As
Then
they
that'll
float
be the
down
end.
the Egyptian river of life.
Yes.
That's a great ending.
And Biederbeck would just be like banging on the
Pounding
bars.
on those gates.
Mm-hmm.
Let me in. Turning to dust.
Yes.
I like it. I'd go see that musical.
Okay, video game. This is where it gets...
Which movie would make the best video game that we watched?
I went Dog Soldiers.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great because, think about it. You're in this house, and you hear werewolves outside, and they're smashing through the window, and you have to look for supplies that you can use all around the house.
You have a limited amount of bullets.
Yeah, you have
so
limited.
Your guns are good to a point. Mm-hmm. Then you gotta get creative.
And of course, you have the little health bar above you.
And then I guess you have to get out to the barn to get the other car to escape.
Yes. And you have to try to keep all of your teammates alive. And it would be like a 7-player game. And there would be one person where, like, at the top of their screen would say, "You are a werewolf. Hide your identity."
Hard to hide your identity once you're turning into a werewolf, but
no, like you are aware, like you know that you were scratched by the werewolf. You know that you're going to turn.
But the people you're
eventually.
playing against don't yet.
Yeah, so
I like that.
You just try to hide that.
That's going to be an element of one of my games too.
Yeah, and then once you turn into a werewolf, then you're on the werewolf's team, and now you're playing against people who used to be your teammates.
I dig it.
So it would be a fun game.
That would be fun.
What about you?
I'm going, and here's my logic on this one this time around.
I feel like it's dead silence.
Most fun movie probably going to equate to the most fun video game. So I'm going Dawn of the Dead.
So you
can pick your character.
Peter.
Yeah, he'd be a good choice. And it starts at different points depending on the character you pick. So if you're Peter, you start the game at that overrun tenement building, and you have to get out of there, and you have to get to the TV station where you can hitch a helicopter ride to the mall.
That's cool.
And you have to build trust along the way. So you have to sort of earn your way onto that helicopter. If you don't know, Flyboy and what's her name, Gwen.
And there can be like a trust level thermometer.
Yeah.
Could you be Tom Savini in the game? Like you could be a part of the biker game?
Yeah, you can start
and you
the
can
game.
choose to raid them at any time.
Yeah, you can start the game off as a gang member trying to infiltrate the mall. And then you have to fight the zombies and the 4 main characters. And maybe even if you die, you can continue playing the game as a zombie. And now you go from being on the team of survivors to trying to take them out. I'm liking this more and more. We should really patent this whole podcast.
How do you win the game?
Okay, so maybe we don't need to start patenting the podcast. How do you win your Dog Soldiers game?
You have to remember how they escaped?
Yeah. So you have to make it to the morning?
Yeah, you just have to make it to the morning and then eventually get out of that town.
And then what? What if I want to keep playing?
Then basically...
But it's just start over? So you backed yourself into a corner, design-wise.
No, what you can do is they'll give you a choice. You can say, choose to keep fighting the werewolves or choose to get out of this town.
Okay.
And if you
you can't fight werewolves once the sun comes up because they're not werewolves anymore.
No, once you choose to fight the werewolves, then you gather a team, and then you're just werewolf hunters. And you gather a bunch of supplies, and you can just hunt them down.
10 hours until
that will give you enough time to get a team, get supplies, stake out points, find out who's a werewolf, shoot them while they're not werewolves.
I like a lot of your game, but it sounds like about 10 hours of the game is going to be pretty boring waiting for the werewolves to come out again. If you have to do all
Obviously,
this work
you
to
won't
prep.
wait that long. I'll put in like a little, as the screen goes black and it'll say like,
So
and
time
it'll
will
say
move
like
faster during the daylight.
yeah, and
hours,
it'll
I
be
guess.
like 2 minutes till midnight.
Okay.
But I do have one question about your game, which sounds very boring.
My video game sounds boring?
No. What I'm about to say will make your video game sound
Oh.
classic and boring.
Okay.
There are so many zombie video games, Dad. There
I
are
know.
so many.
I know, but that's why you really brand it as the Dawn of the Dead video game, and you really make a lot of references to the movie. So fans of the movie will buy it. Trust me, I'll be rich. How about board game? What would make the best board game?
Night
for
of the
movies we
Living
watch?
Dead.
Okay.
Now listen, it is basically the exact same thing as my Dog Soldiers video game, except on a board game. So
really
like,
got lazy with these descriptions.
so there's a house in the middle of the board, and there are zombies trying to like break in.
Like a rickety house.
And yeah, it's like shaky.
Crumbling a little.
And you'll pick cards, and one of them will say, like, oops, a zombie smashed through your window. Should probably patch that up.
So do you start in the house, or do you have to get to the house?
You have
Is
to
that
get
part
to
of
the
game?
house. You have to get to the
It's
house.
a little similar to my Dawn of the Dead video game.
And it can be like, one of your players has been bitten. Find it out. Find out who.
I didn't have a good idea for a board game.
I mean, yes,
around.
Night of the Living Dead, no one makes it out alive. But there is a way that you can make it out alive.
I would hope so. You don't want everyone dead at the end of your game.
No, you do not. You
need to have some way to win that thing.
Mm-hmm.
What would make the best double feature? What two movies would you schedule for the evening and just make a big bathtub full of popcorn and a couple of giant root beer floats?
Dog Soldiers and American Werewolf in London. They work so
That's
well
good.
together.
Which would you do it in that order?
No, I would do the worst one first, so American Werewolf in London, and then Dog Soldier. And if we were in the H's, I would add The Howling to this.
A triple feature.
Yeah.
Even though you haven't seen The Howling yet.
Yeah, but I want to.
I like that you have enough faith in my judgment of that movie.
I've heard that it has the best...
From me.
Yeah, from you. That it has the best werewolf design ever.
For my money, it does.
I just want something to beat Dog Soldiers, because I love that design.
It's the Dog Soldiers design, but you actually get the transformation scene that you don't get in Dog Soldiers in The Howling. So I can't wait to watch it with you, but we're going to have to wait a little bit unless we crowbar it. I went for the perfect satanic panic twosome.
Oh my god. It's Devil's Reign and Devil Rides Out.
Yes, but I'm having trouble figuring out which would go first.
I think Devil Rides Out would go
think so,
first,
too.
and then Devil's Reign.
I think so too.
Because, like, you've got Christopher Lee.
Mm-hmm. And then ease into Ernest Borgnine.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
They both have bad villain deaths, but...
Yeah. Well, I don't mind the Ernest Borgnine death, the melting death. And
I just hate the goat makeup.
You just saw too much of it. One flash of it would have been good, but they really oversold a lot of that ending.
They also should have made it like a scarier mask.
I thought it was pretty scary looking.
It's a goat mask.
It was only so scary you can make a goat. How about the most welcome remake?
Well,
so we talked about some bummers and some clunkers. That doesn't necessarily mean that they would make the best remake. But
Okay.
What did you put?
Hear me out, okay?
Yeah. And then we'll do sequel.
Day of the Triffids.
Okay.
Think of it.
First of all, I love, because Day of the Triffids hasn't gotten any love from us this episode
I hated
so
it
far.
so bad. I was expecting so much more from the poster.
I know.
Like, look how freaky those
It's a
plants
great
look.
poster. Look it up.
And then you realize that they're actually just, like, plants.
Yeah, the effects aren't terribly convincing. So I think you're right. I think that's just from an effects perspective. Like, you could do a lot more today than you could back then.
The plants could have a worse way of killing you. They could go in through your fingernails, and you could watch it go up your veins.
Yeah.
And they can, like, go in through your mouth, and once they fill up your entire body and start sprouting, like, you blow up, and they can rip open your mouth and split your head into two pieces.
And then once you blow up, those spores get sent out,
yes,
and other people
like
breathe them
everywhere.
in.
And people wouldn't go blind. You would just have to breathe in the spores, and then you would.
Would it come from outer space like it does in the first one?
Yes.
Okay. That's a good source for horror
Yeah.
sci-fi. Just say, oh, it came from outer space.
Yeah.
Literally, like the movie called It Came
from Outer Space.
Yeah. That's good. I would definitely be curious for a Day of the Triffids.
I feel like I know exactly
They did
which one you did.
a TV movie or like a series, Day of the Triffids, I think. I may need to double check my research on that.
I feel like you did our favorite one.
Are you guessing what I did for my remake?
Yes. Did you?
Dead Silence.
I knew it!
Only because
it's so bad.
I hated this movie, but I kind of liked it as a premise for a
movie.
It
has a good concept.
Yes, so describe the movie.
It's about freaky dolls, and the protagonist is...
this guy named Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie. And the antagonist is... Mary Shaw.
Hobbs.
Shaw.
I don't know why I always want her to be Abraham Lincoln's wife. Okay, yeah, so Mary Shaw was this creepy woman who was a ventriloquist.
Yes, and she possesses dolls with actual children's lives.
I don't know if it's just children, though. It's like kills a bunch of people, and then the town kills her, and then she's still killing them from beyond the grave.
Yes.
But you don't really get why Jamie, this central character, his fiancée or his wife gets killed, but you don't get why he's really pulled back into the story. Because he goes back to see his dad, who he's estranged from. He doesn't really have much skin in the game. So I would cut out all the bad stuff. The ending, horrible ending.
So bad.
I would cast better actors, to your point.
Yes.
I would make the story matter more to the protagonist. So he's not just trying to save the father he doesn't care about. So maybe this woman killed all the children in the town, but he escaped as a kid. He ran away, and he studied voodoo and different histories of ancient curses all over the world and different cultures. And then he comes back to the town of Raven's Crest or whatever stupid is. And then he's there to release the soul of his twin sister, who Mary turned into one of her evil dolls.
Would it have to be a twin sister, or could it just be a sister? Would you keep the razor detective? Or maybe he's always picking out his nose hair or something.
Yeah, I'd keep him, but instead of having him constantly shaving his stupid face with an electric razor, I'd have him like constantly cleaning his ears with a dirty Q-tip or something. Something a little bit more compelling. And each of the creepy dolls would look a little like the person whose soul it holds. And I'd keep the submerged theater location because that was cool. But I'd use it to better effect. So maybe it starts sinking during the final climactic showdown.
Cool.
So we did... Oh, part 2. What would be the most welcome sequel for what we watched?
Dead Silence.
Okay. How would you do a Dead Silence 2?
Like you said before, I would add a guy, and he's been studying voodoo and like dark magic.
So you do a sequel to my movie, not the Dead Silence that we watch. You do a sequel to my reboot.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll work with you on that. Dead Silence is getting a lot of attention on this podcast. For my sequel, I'm about to blow your socks off. You ready?
No.
All right, get ready. I'll wait.
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going for another Fibes.
It already is a sequel.
I don't care. This is a part 3 then. And
we're talking about sequels, not part 3.
Shut your head. Almost this would course correct after the part 2 we watched that fell a little flat. So it needs some crazy reinvigorating. So hear me out. Maybe it starts with Fibes and Victoria.
They're alive?
Living eternally.
Yes!
Somewhere in the universe where that Egyptian river of life has taken them. And then something goes wrong.
I swear to God, if someone kills Victoria again.
And it's Fibes that suffers and starts to slowly lose his eternal life source. And now it's Victoria, who we've only ever seen as a sleeping corpse in the first 2 movies. She's the one who has to exact revenge against whoever messed up her husband's eternal life with her.
Question. Who's the villain?
Maybe it's Beiderbecke's son and his team of bad guys who are after the secrets of the universe that Fibes and Victoria are now experiencing. And she kills them off based on nursery rhymes. So 3 police officers that led Beiderbecke's son to the temple. One gets killed in the woods when a tree falls on him. The second is crushed under a pile of bricks. You get where I'm heading with this?
Yes.
And the last one gets stabbed by like thousands of shafts of straw. 3 little pigs, baby! Then a scientist who like maybe helps Beiderbecke's son learn the secrets that his father was keeping about eternal life. Victoria kills him by baking him into like a giant loaf of gingerbread.
No, and feeds it to the sun.
Or he jumps out of a plane that Victoria has rigged to crash, and he releases the parachute, and thousands of itsy-bitsy spiders come raining down on him as he falls.
I see it.
Look,
But
it needs
Dad,
a little spit and polish.
Who would
but there's
be
potential
Volnavia?
there.
Who would it be, like a male version of Volnavia?
No, Volnavia is Volnavia. We'll
Okay.
find a different Volnavia.
Okay.
Gail Gadot. Or Jenna Ortega. Who was your most unfortunate favorite this season? Oh, that's something new that we did this season, too.
Yep.
So explain to the audience what your unfortunate favorites are in these movies.
This is what always happens in a horror movie. I feel bad for the character which we all know is going to die.
There's one character who's super sweet and
And
super
I always
nice
get attached to
and
them.
super vulnerable.
And they always die.
Like very quickly.
Yeah,
They're usually the first or second to go. And then you get heartbroken. So what about for the D's? Who's your unfortunate favorite this season? Your most unfortunate favorite?
Spoon.
Oh, from Dog Soldiers?
He tried to fight so bad. Like,
know,
he was using everything inside.
So
Like, he was
listen
using
to our
dishes.
Dog Soldiers. In fact, please listen to our Dog Soldiers episode.
It's such a good
the
one.
least popular episode of season 4, and it's really a good movie.
It's really a good movie.
The movie's better than the podcast. Trust us. But
Yeah.
But listen to the podcast too.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I wouldn't think you would say him because you feel so charged up and invigorated when you're watching him like fist fight this werewolf and just fight back with everything that's
yeah,
in
but
the
like
house.
when he dies, you're like, oh my god, Spoon, no, because you think that he's gonna make it, and then
but then
that
he
one
has that
werewolf.
great last line where he's like, he essentially says, "I hope you get diarrhea when you eat me." He doesn't say that. He says something a little bit more colorful, but. Yeah. I thought you were going to say Renfield was your most unfortunate favorite
Renfield.
from Dracula.
His was my second most unfortunate because he feels bad for Mina and he tries so hard to save her, but ends up
he's really
dying.
a conflicted character.
Yes, but Spoon. I mean, if that second werewolf didn't come in, he would
have.
Yeah, Spoon
would have taken him.
Spoon was taking the upper hand.
That's the moment I think that you're rooting most for a character this season of these movies.
Dawn of the Dead, I was rooting for Peter. So remember how much I was screaming, hoping that he got on that plane?
I think that movie had the biggest impact on you, just in terms of your reaction while you were watching it. Dawn of the Dead. Who do you think the best actor was? Best actor or actress of the D movies? It's an interesting question.
Peter was awesome.
Peter from Dawn of the Dead. Was Peter from Dawn of the Dead better than Dwayne Jones from Night of the Living Dead as an actor?
Yes.
I disagree with you. Because I go between Frederick Marsh for Jekyll and Hyde and Dwayne Jones for Night of the Living Dead. So do I go old school?
I love Frederick Marsh.
Slightly less old school.
He puts the tragedy in tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going
I'm
Frederick.
very comfortable agreeing with you on Frederick Marsh being the best actor this season.
Incredible. Also, everyone in Dog Soldiers is really good. Watch that. Please watch Dog Soldiers. It's such a good episode. It's such a good movie too.
It's our unfortunate favorite movie because no one's getting in any love with the downloads. Oh, speaking of downloads, we're coming up on a year. We're going to be posting Horror of Dracula, the last movie of season 4, on our 1-year anniversary of posting our first episode of this podcast.
Yep.
And
we're
going to
have a little party. We are 7 away from 2,000 downloads.
1,993 downloads.
Yes. So, what do you think was the best villain death this season?
I'm going Beiderbecke from Vibes.
I'm going Christopher Lee from Dracula. Yeah. I love that first his skin burns, then his bones. Like, you see his bones and then those.
He, literally wastes away to dust. And that was the first time you kind of saw that happen in a Dracula movie. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. It's classic and amazing.
Yes.
Pretty well done. And then Beiderbecke, sort of a same deal. Like, he rapidly ages because his magic elixir, he's run out, and that's why he's been after what Vibes is trying to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good villain death.
Well,
next season.
Thank you guys for joining us for our wrap-up episode.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening and downloading. And we look forward to bringing you our next season, The Ease. So, Sterling, which 2 movies on this list, my preliminary list for The Ease, are you most looking forward to checking out? Just 2. And this was a little weird. I had a hard time.
Why are we not doing Exorcist?
You're not ready to see
Yes,
Exorcist.
I am.
No, you're not. We're doing one exorcism movie.
Dad.
What? What?
This isn't a horror movie.
What?
Escape from New York is not a horror movie.
I had to get a little creative because
it is not a horror movie.
I couldn't find a lot of horror movies that started with E for some reason. I was almost going to do our first combo season where I combined E's and F's, but I had to take a couple of liberties. Yes, Escape from New York is not technically a horror movie, but there are horror elements to it.
Okay.
And it's John Carpenter.
I'm excited for Earth versus the Spider, which is our first one. You said that it had something to do with when rock music is played, the spider comes alive.
Yeah. We don't want to give away too much. Movie I'm looking most forward to? Eyes Without a Face.
Wait, what about Fiend Without a Face?
It starts with F.
They basically sound like the exact same thing, though.
Fiend Without a Face came first. So you know out there, you know the first movie we're going to be doing, and then you know the last movie we're going to be doing in the E's. And you know one of them that's right. Actually, you know the one that's right smack in the middle, too. So we gave you Earth versus the Spider, we gave you Escape from New York, and we gave you Eyes Without a Face. But what are the others? Join us.
I know what the others are.
And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.
We'll
Please watch Dog Soldiers. Thank you.